Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Finance Magnates podcast, talking to leading figures from the blockchain space. And today we have a very special guest. Joining us from Brussels is Eva Kaili, who is a member of the European Parliament. Hello, Eva.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So let's get right to it. Can you please tell our audience about your work at the European level promoting blockchain technology?
So first of all, I'm working for the Committee of Industry, Energy and Technology, and also the Committee for Finance and Banking, Economics. This means I'm working on blockchain infrastructure, not only for the finance sector, but also for energy and cybersecurity, e-voting and everything. So I've already worked at the first report we had for virtual currencies. And now I have the resolution for the infrastructure of blockchain and how this can be legitimate for anybody to use.
Mm-hmm. And can you give us some points from that? What do you think is like the most important insights that you came up with in your report?
So the report just, it starts now. The first report on virtual currencies, what we did, and it's interesting, is that we're setting up an observatory mechanism to see how this can be used for transactions like Bitcoins and Ethereum, and how we can make sure that somebody would not lose their money if they put it on an e-wallet, for example, or if something happens and they lose their key. This is the first thing. So we set up an observatory forum that it will be based in Brussels, and they will observe the technology, see the problems, and try to give suggestions for solutions. At the same time, I am helping a lot through different files. For example, on funding, we make sure that if you have a blockchain infrastructure to change the way you exchange energy, like peer-to-peer sharing of energy, you can actually use the blockchain infrastructure and you can get funding for this blockchain infrastructure. And now I'm working on the resolution of the possibilities of blockchain, and especially in the public sector and the EU institutions. So hopefully after September, we're going to have some hearings and we're going to try to figure out the potential and also the benefits that we can have using blockchain.
I see. Well, we'll follow up then, of course. I think it's very interesting for our audience. So what's the general perception in the Parliament, in the European Parliament? Do most people know about the technology, or have they only heard about Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Well, not many people know here. I would say that maybe 10, maximum 20 out of 750 actually understand the technology. This is like a very small percentage, but they are positive. I think everything that could help us reduce the costs of transaction and increase security is something that the members of the parliament are very positive towards it. So if you would ask them if they actually have any wallet, maybe not, maybe 3 or 4 of them. But I think slowly, this you can hear the word blockchain around the parliament because I also, as I said, make a lot of amendments in different files. So it is slow. It's not that fast for the institutions, but I think this can also be a good thing because the technology has to develop before we try to talk about it in a more detailed way.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see it? The technology. How do you see it? You said you're looking beyond just virtual currencies. You're looking at other aspects of the economy and government. So where else do you see this technology being used, and in what way?
So, for example, not only to store your data, health data. We have some countries like Estonia that they have a digital ID where you could have basically you can store your data, your health data. You can have it accessible to another country, maybe in different languages. So this would make it more easy for somebody to travel and make sure that he has everything with him if he needs his data, and to make sure that they are secure and that nobody can alter it or use it without having the knowledge that your data are being used, which is, I think, extremely important for our safety. A second example would be voting. So you can actually vote on blockchain technology. I know in many cases you don't feel you need to have a secure vote, but there are many countries where the system and the paperwork is huge and you can never be sure that your vote is counted. So this not only reduces the cost if you have a blockchain application and you vote there, but you can also go back and see if somebody tried to hack your vote. Also, you can see the results instantly, the result of the elections. And of course, I think everybody can identify themselves and authenticate themselves in the best possible way online, which also gives you a huge opportunity, and you avoid duplication. So nobody can pretend to be you. Nobody can have a fake certificate if everything is on blockchain. I think this would help a lot the public services to avoid failures or fake papers or duplications.
Mm-hmm. So you see it as a national voter ID registration.
National, European, it doesn't change anything. It can start from a local municipality elections or like a referendum in a small community, and it can be used even for European elections. So I think we can start by having it as maybe a pilot, or we can have some suggestions through voting, but it can actually replace the old traditional voting systems, because, as I said, it also reduces a lot the cost of an election. And I think it will increase the participation, because a lot of people cannot travel to vote, or maybe some are too old, some are too young, they are away from their city. With this, you can vote online wherever you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's interesting. So it will be used not just to secure the voting, but also to modernize it, bring it online in a way that's more secure than current systems.
So, I think if somebody understands the philosophy of blockchain, then you will understand that it can change as an infrastructure almost everything. The public sector, the exchange of any kind of value, any kind of contract. So basically what it does is it's based on consensus, so nobody can alter anything if you have set up the platform on a distributed ledger technology. So everybody will know if something is about to be changed. If somebody tries to hack it, the whole community will know. So if more people use it, it becomes more strong and resistant to attacks. So it's basically immutable, nobody can change it. I think this is a way to regain trust. You also remove intermediaries and the high cost of intermediaries. You just need a small fee for the expenses of the server and the miners and the developers that work on this technology. So this is a very, very small cost, and also so basically it's distributed, it's immutable, it has a timestamp, so you can always go back. It's like your history is never deleted. This can be good, can be bad for some cases, but if you want extra transparency, then you have it. You can have full control. The citizens now can have full control of their data, and also if you avoid intermediaries, you can get direct payments for a service you can provide on blockchain. For example, you have an artist, he uploads a video on a blockchain YouTube, and this video, depending on the clicks and the advertisements that you got on the platform, it sends directly to your account the amount of money that you deserve without associations and intermediaries. Well, I think if you think about it, it can be a revolution on everything that we know of.
Yeah, definitely. And I can certainly see why, considering the recent fine that Google got by the European Union, why there's a room for decentralizing the internet in a way that blockchain can help. So beyond that, what other aspects do you see that it can help the lives of the common people, people that are citizens of the European countries that are not necessarily familiar with the technology? How will that help on the normal person's lives?
So basically, as I said, everything will change, but it's the infrastructure. So for the user, they will just know that it's blockchain, but they will use it as a normal application. But they will know that it's super safe and it's on blockchain, so they can actually trust it. You can use it for to basically, if you don't have a bank, you can use it for transactions. So you can put money on your wallet and then exchange it with somebody else without intermediaries. You can exchange any kind of value. You can sell your house without somebody interfering, and you can have ready contracts, birth certificates. Everything can happen online, and basically you can regain trust to the system and have easy access, cheaper services. The transaction fees of the banks and the hidden cost of the banks. After a study that the OECD did, I think last year, it was around 130 billion euros per year. Hidden
just
cost.
in EU.
Just in the EU. You understand that we can reduce that to the extent of it, of course. But even if you just reduce it slightly, if you can just improve the transaction services and the fees, this means you can save like 30-40 billion to give it as a minimum wage or income, or to provide health services for EU citizens. So I think if you understand these numbers and how important it is, I think we can have a revolution in Europe. We can have citizens trusting the system again. And besides their data, they can, of course, save a lot of money like that.
But would each citizen need to have their own, the same way you have a Bitcoin client, a Bitcoin a wallet, and there's miners? Would every citizen need to have, his own
you need a wallet. For example, you need the application. Like you have on your phone downloaded one application, you download this application. Instead of downloading a banking application, you download a blockchain application. You can download, for example, a wallet where you can have all the services inside. So this technology is now developing. There are already applications that are being used, but we're trying to put also the legal frame, to make sure that when you use it, your data are safe. What they say is what you get, and to be able to also help people with skills, digital skills, because as you said, it's not very easy for people to use it. But we're trying to have free lessons for coding for kids, for girls. This means that you can actually have your own application on blockchain. So we have to work both ways. We have to help the technology to be used. We have to make sure that it can be trusted, and we have also to make sure that that citizens will use it. So we have to work, both ways.
And regarding trust, you said that you're setting up an observatory to check the technology, right?
Right.
But right now we are seeing incidents that people are claiming it's scams, or maybe it's hacking, and people are losing money in
Yes,
Ethereum, Bitcoin. Question is what can be done on that level?
For example, there has been a case where somebody would use bitcoins for drugs, and he just used bitcoins, try to hide these bitcoins to some accounts through companies and offshores. But we have the opportunity with Bitcoin to have the timestamp and the ID of the coin. So if you start, if you get one sign that something's wrong, then you can start tracking down the very beginning of this problem, of this fraud. So basically it can be used to protect you, and it can be used to track down how this money are being used. But for the time being, it's not super safe, because there are many applications that if you don't back it up, if you don't have your password safe, and you lose it, then everything is gone, your money are gone. So to help citizens to trust this technology, that's why we set up the observatory. That's why we have this resolution, because we're calling for immediate legislation, so that you can basically go and ask for your money back, go to a court and be able to get your money back, because this is not the case yet, and that's why people don't use it broad as we would like to.
But is that something that's really enforceable? Meaning, because there's no company that manages Bitcoin exactly. So, right. So how would you, if that's, even if that's the law, right? There's nobody to demand it. You know, he'll follow the law.
Yes. So what is important is we have this cybersecurity report that is coming, and we're trying to do the infrastructure to make sure that by default it's going to be protective of your rights. So it's basically the beginning of the design of an application. It has to follow the rules to have a verification or an authentication. And these are the problems that to identify, we have first to have some sandboxes, some pilot projects before people start using them a lot, because we have first to identify the problems. If you set up a platform on blockchain, it's not easy to change it afterwards. And this is why it's important to do it by default. But still, this is something that it's ongoing. The technology is there, but the applications are not used enough to create a problem now. So we try to be fast. We try to understand the problems and the potential, and to make sure that we will address the problems when they occur, and even before, to predict the problems that you very well mentioned.
By the way, yesterday here in Tel Aviv, I was at a conference. The head of the regulator, the Israeli security authorities, talked about initial coin offerings. I'm not sure if you've heard about it.
Yes.
It's
ICOs. Yes.
Yeah. So whoever doesn't know in our audience, that's the process of funding a new venture using usually Ethereum or Bitcoin. And he said, you know, that's a challenge for regulators, because you know, it's like a competitor to stocks, but there's no way to protect retail investors right now, to protect people that are investing in it. Do you think this is a subject that's already primed for regulatory intervention?
Well, as I said, it's something that we're now setting up to observe, and I think that it's a bit risky if you go now and invest on ICOs, but this is at the knowledge of the investors. So we try to set up the legal framework, but this would take some time. So I would suggest that you're careful on how much money you put there, because there are many white papers on ICOs and different suggestions that seem very exciting. But even the community of the developers cannot agree if something works properly or not, if it's safe or not. So to make sure that it's safe, we have to be a bit patient. I know there's a bit hype with the technology. I believe and I support this technology, but I think it's too early to invest huge amounts of money on the technology, and especially on ICOs. You know, we had problems with speculation even recently, and I think that we should avoid it, because this could actually be a bad publicity for the technology and create more problems than the ones that they are about to solve. But still, the possibility is there, the potential is there, the infrastructure is amazing. I think people that want to invest there should be very careful. The other ones, they would do it anyway. They know that there are dangers there, but they keep moving on this potential and spending money to support some kind of ICOs there. So this is a personal decision, of course, that you make.
It's very interesting to hear that that this is your approach, because I was not aware that up till yesterday, I was not aware that any regulator or lawmaker around the world are even aware of this rapidly developing phenomena.
No, we are aware. I think we're not many, but we are some, and we're working on that. Of course, as I said, since the developers, so I have not studied computing, but I understand I'm learning a bit coding and algorithms so that I can understand the technology and the potential. But even the developers, the people that created it, they still don't know the full potential. And they're trying, it's like you're in a dark room and you slowly try to see what's next to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you make a step and you see if there is more room to move forward. So I think we have to be careful, and I think we have to work closer to this technology to understand and protect the best things of it, and try to avoid the traps that this technology might hide. So it needs some patience, and we're trying to do our best. So this resolution will, the first draft, I think we're going to have it by November. Even October, we'll try to do our best to make it faster. And so hopefully in the next few months, we're going to have a first paper and some directives for legislation.
Interesting. So if I'm a developer based in the EU and I want to either set up an ICO or develop technology, Bitcoin technology for land registration or voting rights, should I should you prepare yourself in any way for regulations, or should you approach your national parliament? Like, what do you suggest for people right now that are operating in this unregulated market with no framework?
So I would say it's good to keep an eye on what we do here, because we are trying to set up some so as I said, an observatory to understand the field that we have to work on. But at the same time, of course, the member state has to accept that the transaction is valid if you want to do a transaction through blockchain. So it depends on each member state for some things, and of course, EU on another level. And still, because the online technology doesn't have any borders, you have to be very careful if you're making a big investment there. So I would say we have some, for example, we have an award for social good. So if you use blockchain for social good, you can find at the side of the commission that there is an award, there is an open call. I think it's still on, because you can use this technology to offer and money, energy to some charities in some ways. So there are some awards because we're trying to help people that have good ideas to move with these ideas. We have some pilots on EU institutions and how blockchain can help us out to save money. So we have these pilot projects. We have this observatory that's being set up now, and we're going to try to approach the community of blockchain and the developers to work together with them closer and then do our legislation, our part. So it's good to be contacted by people that want to give us some ideas. And maybe we can answer also some of the questions as soon as we have the first answers. But for the time being, I think we have a positive approach. I have many amendments that they passed. We're giving funding to blockchain infrastructure. So I think step by step, we are helping this innovation to happen. So I would say somebody should be careful of investing too much money, but they should explore the potential of this technology.
I see. Do you think that the EU has a chance here to become a hub for for startups in this space, the same way that you can see Singapore, Dubai, and different states in the US trying to attract blockchain startups to their jurisdictions?
Well, I think we already have a big community, and we already had a big event that 400 people, 200 people attended here because we had a closed room. But 400 people were also watching online. So we have like 1,000 companies, I think, around the EU. It's quite a big number. So yes, I think we have this potential because Europe is one of the best places. Trust also that we try to support quality and trust to the public sector. So if something, we will be supportive and we will make sure that it's used for good and for the benefit of our citizens. So I think, yes, we have the potential to lead in terms of trust and quality. European Union to any other country. I think this is our main strength. So we could be slower, but I think we can guarantee that we are more trustworthy and that it's more safe to work on these technologies in Europe.
I see. And what about the use of the technology? I'm interested if you think that these type of systems, like the voting rights and land registry and stuff like that, needs to be on a open, public blockchain, like let's say Ethereum, or it should be private blockchain networks operated by specific to each project.
That's a very good question. So basically, we start working, of course, on open source platforms on blockchain and Ethereum. This is the first pilot that we did. I think it was last year. And now we're trying to work on pilot projects for EU institutions, also open source. But we cannot avoid, of course, and we cannot stop any private. But we try to make sure that you have the option to have open source infrastructure and blockchain technologies to use. And of course, because we want to educate citizens to understand the differences between open and closed, permissionless or permissioned, if it's going to be centralized or decentralized. So we have to make sure that people understand the differences. They are not very visible sometimes. And of course, to make it easy to use, because if you use blockchain, you have to be able to go back and see your own transactions and understand what is happening and if everything is okay. So we have to work on many levels.
I see. Well, it's been very interesting so far. Is there any other subject regarding this matter that you think I needed to ask, that our audience needs to learn from you?
So I think if you want to learn more, you can also go on the site of the Commission, the European Parliament, under STOA. We did this big event, the European Parliament and the Commission, first time talking about the virtual currencies and also the blockchain technology in different sectors. So we had an excellent event a month ago, 2 months ago. So you can watch it online. It was web streamed. I think this would give you a view of other members of the parliament also, but also how the discussion went, and members of the commission, of course, staff from the commission. I think this would be very useful. Also, we're going to try to have some events in the European Parliament, and it would be excellent if your community attended. And of course, we're going to do also cybersecurity amendments. So any suggestions, you should contact us and try to help us, because as I said, we're not developers, we don't know the technologies, but we try to understand it so that we can allow it to happen in the best possible way. And there is also resistance, as you may know, from the traditional players, like the banks, some banks perhaps, that they don't want to sell their data, they don't want to give to outsource some services. So there's going to be a fight, I think, until we have a new balance. And this is going to be interesting to watch.
I see. Well, just if I can follow up on that. So you think, because we talked about getting rid of intermediaries, do you think that banks have a role in a future economy based on blockchain?
Well, the same way that any technology takes a big part of the old technology, but the old technology still is there. I would say, of course, the banks will always have to play a role, but then the transaction fees might be reduced. We might have a lot of services that will be through fintech, they will be given to other companies, or they have to start thinking in a different way. Trying to help that to happen. We have the PSD2, the Payments Directive, where we allow data for new companies to use them. So the banks cannot hold on to this data. They have to allow innovation to happen, because we're trying to find ways to improve these services. But I think this will take a lot of time. Of course, things are changing. It's like, you remember when the ATMs arrived and you had the machines to take money, not the cashiers. This changed a lot the way we used to know banking. But this didn't change completely the banks. The banks tried to embrace this technology. So I think it's something like that, maybe with a big part going to blockchain technology. The banks will have less work to do.
Okay, so I want to thank you again. Thank you very much.
Having me.
Thank you, and thank you all for tuning in and watching our interview with Eva Kaili, member of the European Parliament. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.